thousands of kilometers away from the coast of Chile, the small island in the Pacific Ocean, where there is a magical silence. It is known in the world as Easter Island. Its famousness is not because of its quiet silence, but because of the giant statues in it that were discovered about 300 years ago. After all, how did you come to this deserted island so far in the middle of this sea? Was it created by a space creature? Or is it the work of a human being, which has been a mystery for hundreds of years? Welcome back to Time Up TV videos. In 1722, about 300 years ago, a Dutch explorer, Jacob Roggeveen, accidentally arrived on the island after straying into the sea. When he reached the island, he saw many giant statues standing with their backs to the sea, which were realizing the presence of a creature, which were very different from each other. Some of them were face down, and some were lying straight, and some of them stood. And he saw that most of the statues had only their heads lying on the ground. Looking at them feels like someone is dreaming. These statues are so large and heavy that it is difficult to imagine whether they would have been made by humans or by a space creature. His big eyes, long noses, and flat straight, long face. Dutch explorer Jacob Roggeveen set out in search of the island on Easter Sunday, but he accidentally reached the island. That's why it came to be called Easter Island. Easter Island, also known as Rapa Nui, had a very small population on the island at that time. The rest of the Rapa Nui's remaining generation did not even know who built these statues. What purpose were they made for? No one knew anything. This is the world's most remote inhabited island. Archaeologists started their exploration of Rapa Nui Island and started collecting evidence. Research so far has revealed many secrets. Apart from this, other tourists who were interested in history also came here and tried to know how they made more statues by carving such big stones. All of them went to Easter Island to answer their questions, and some started coming to enjoy seeing them. At that time, the population of the island must have been around 2,000 to 3,000. The decrease in population is far away from other populated areas. Pitcairn Islands is the nearest populous and sparsely populated island of Easter Island, which is 75 kilometers away. The second largest neighboring island is Migrate, which will have a population of about 500, which is also 2,606 kilometers away. Easter Island is part of Chile, and it is 3,500 kilometers off the coast of Chile. You can only go to the island by plane, which has a 5-hour flight. There are huge statues on the 4 sides of the island. Their big eyes, long noses, and flat straight, long face that stood in a majestic manner, discovered 300 years ago. These statues are called Moai statues. Some of them have eyes, and some do not have eyes. They were made about 700 years ago. The question that arises here is, how would they have been brought here? Scientists made a surprising discovery during the 2012 excavation that these statues are not just the head, but the whole body that has now been buried in the earth due to climate changes over time. The number of these giant stones found on the island is about 887. Each statue features a unique face, which represents the distinctive features of the ancient Rapa Nui culture. The tallest statue is Paro, which is 33 feet long, i.e. as high as a 3-story house, and weighs about 80,200 kilograms. It would require the help of at least 500 people to move it. One of the biggest discoveries in further research is an incomplete moai named El Gigante, and the research also found that it was not made from such volcanic stone. It is 69 feet long and weighs about 200 metric tons, which after completion will be around 300 tons. Carving such large stones and sculpting them, and then moving them from one place to another is a task that seemed impossible for human beings. When experts began to study these statues, the question became important as how statues as heavy and grand as a double-decker bus were made and transported without any modern machinery. It also revealed another thing, that these Rapa Nui statues were built on the same island. The presence of some incomplete statues near the volcanic ash was an argument for this. For many years, it has been speculated that this was done by a space creature. But experiments with modern research rejected this theory altogether. Scientists and archaeologists have found a lot of evidence that these statues were made from volcanic ash stone found on the island. That is, these statues were made on this island. As an experiment, when the experts just tried to trim their eyes, it took 3 days to complete the task. All these tools were those that were used to cut stones in ancient times. According to experts, it may take a year for the team of 12 workers to carve the full-size statue. By looking at the incomplete statues, it can be well estimated how they used to make statues with big stones. They used to start trimming the upper part. When the upper part was completed, they trimmed the bottom part, as well as cutting stones from the head to the bottom. Although the researchers solved the mystery behind this carving, it was now difficult for them to understand how these giant statues were brought to different places several kilometers away from the site of the volcano. When the experts started surveying, they found marks on the ground in the form of drawing statues, which showed that they must have been pulled here. In 2003, experts made a huge concrete statue and tied it with ropes on 3 sides and shook it from one side in turn. So the statue started moving forward, so it was taken up to 50 meters. In this way, the statue moved forward swinging with the help of ropes pulled from all sides. This solved the mystery of how these heavy statues might have been carried long distances. One thing that they all had in common was that the statues that fell blindly were the slope of the earth, and the ones that fell straight were the climbing surface of the earth. That is, those who fell during the movement. It became clear that they must have been moved in a standing position. They were made to walk. But a mystery was yet to be solved as to who are these people who make thousands of statues, and what happened here that left those statues incomplete. One study claims that once 17,500 people lived in Rapa Nui or Easter Island. They were Polynesians who came here in 300 AD, i.e. 1900 years ago. Surprisingly, the whole island looked different at that time. There used to be a dense forest, and there was a lot of evidence to support this claim. Various pollen evidence has been found in the Easter Islands. With the highest amount of palm trees, what happened to this dense forest? Researchers believe that there was large-scale deforestation. The palm trees are believed to have been of no use to them as they were farmers. Various evidence found by experts on Easter Island, Rapa Nui, shows that the people they used to cultivate, especially sweet potatoes, which were their main food and brought from Polynesia. Along with this, there is evidence of some fruits, such as a fruit like banana and pumpkin. They needed land where they could cultivate, and they could also move the statues easily. And that was why they cut the forest with their own hands. After large-scale loss of palm forests, the fertility of the land decreased, food shortages arose, and people-to-people conflicts broke out. But its effects show up slowly, and the same happened here. In the beginning, they could not feel all these changes. But gradually, the soil became infertile. This led to a shortage of food for the islanders. And finally, many dead structures and bones have been found in the island, which have evidence of injury. This suggests that the civil war may have started here, and most of the women may have been targeted, due to which the population of Rapa Nui gradually started to disappear due to the decrease in the population of women. And finally, those who were left here migrated from this place. Migration to other islands, such as Tahiti, further reduced the population, reducing its population to negligible in 1877. In 1995, UNESCO designated Easter Island as a World Heritage Site, with much of the island preserved in Rapa Nui National Park. Today, the island is part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Looking at these statues, it is difficult to believe that they are made by humans. Were these statues made for religious purposes, or do they have any other purpose? Different researchers have different views on this. Tell me in the comments how you feel about it. Hope you like and share this video of Time Up. My heartfelt appreciation for your loving comments. See you in another amazing video.